Now, will the the row inside Reform UK damage its leader, Nigel Farage? So here's the cast of characters that we're going to be talking about. So Nigel Farage has been battling infighting in his party. Now, it started all in January when Elon Musk said that Farage doesn't have what it takes to lead reform, and he seemed to endorse one of the party's MPs, Rupert Lowe, is the MP for Great Yarmouth. Well, last week, though, Rupert Lowe had criticised in an interview that he gave the way that Nigel Farage runs the party. He says he acts a bit like a messiah, and he referred to the party as a protest party. Nigel Farage didn't like that at all. But a third man entered the picture. This is the party's chairman, Zia Youssef. Now, he reported Lowe to the police, claiming that Lowe had threatened him with physical violence, and that Lowe then after that was suspended from the party. Now, we should say Rupert Lowe fully denies all of the allegations made against him. And he says he was kicked out because he's a tall poppy who could overshadow Nigel Farage. And yesterday, one more character, the party's former deputy co-chair, this is Ben Habib, said that Rupert Lowe should replace Nigel Farage as the leader. Have you got that? Are you all with me now on what's happening in Reform UK? So, Anne, going to have to come to you. You've given us your answer a few times.
Yes.
You don't think any of this infighting is going to harm Nigel Farage?
I mean, the fact is, first of all, look at the Tory party with 5 prime ministers in almost as many years. I mean, look at the Labour Party and the fight against Corbyn. The idea that when a political party has a fight, that's it, is ridiculous. But that's the first thing. The second thing is this: there is an investigation going on. Until that's reported, I'm not going to comment on the merits of what is being said. But there's a very simple answer. Is it going to damage Farage? 1, how are we doing in the polls? Still at the top or joint. 2, how are we doing on membership? Still going up. We've had 1,000 new members since this nonsense began. So if you just look at it, without Farage, we would not be where we are now. And I have no doubt at all that we will come through this and we will triumph. And, of course, we've got 2 big tests coming. We've got the local elections. I was in HQ yesterday. I went to see the list. We've got nearly a full slate. We're just a few... No, I am jolly well going to finish.
I was just agreeing with you there. I said OK.
Nearly got a full slate on that and will shortly have it. So, we've got the local elections coming up. We've got the Runcorn by-election where we came second in the general election. And after all of that, you can tell me that you think Farage is going to be damaged because, and finally, I'm going to get in a finally, why did he row with Elon Musk? Because Elon Musk was supporting Tommy Robinson, and that is not our scene.
Well, this is where I was wanting to get to, Kevin, which is we may have made this about the cast of characters, but actually fundamentally what lies underneath is almost a direction of the Reform Party. As Anne said, Rupert Lowe and Elon Musk have shown support for stricter immigration, a support for Stephen Yaxley-Lennon, otherwise known as Tommy Robinson, something that Nigel Farage made explicitly clear that was not the direction he wanted to take reform. So, rather than this cast of characters battling, is it more about a battle for the soul of reform, the party itself?
It is, and has Anne left your legs on above the knee, or did you cut them off there with all that finally? No, it's a big ideological dispute as well as personalities. I'm no reform supporter. In fact, I'm hostile to reform.
You don't say.
Being on the left of British politics. But reform is all about Nigel Farage. He's the greatest strength, and he can also be a weakness. And yes, he does cut down tall poppies. If indeed,
shrinking violet.
Nigel Rupert Lowe is a tall poppy, and he doesn't like challenges. We've seen that all the way through his career. The number of people he falls out with.
Well, a lot of them, and we should say, people like Suzanne Evans, Douglas Carswell, Robert Kilroy-Silk in the very early days.
Parragher Flynn, who was an MEP, used to be on the Daily Express. I knew him well. No, that is the case with Farage. In fact, the last election, It wasn't a political party. It was a company owned by him majority,
But
which
it
is why he could
And it
push
isn't now.
Richard Tice aside and make himself the leader.
Richard Tice was very happy. No, you're not going to slander Richard Tice. He was very happy to stand down.
Slander.
He was very happy to stand down.
He
wasn't stood down. He was very happy to stand down because we all wanted Farage to come back.
And
this is an advert for the Reform Party. I mean,
YouGov had a poll running earlier this week that a third of Reform Party supporters thought that someone else should lead the party.
So 2/3 don't?
Of course, 2/3 don't. But
there you are. There's the end of that one. Yeah, right, OK. Talk about selective.
Is there a rise? Look, it wasn't me. It was YouGov put this out. Is there a questioning of the way Reform is run, being everything is centred on Nigel Farage? Is that healthy for a political party?
Well, everything is not centred on Nigel Farage. Now, we've only got we've got 4 MPs now.
Yeah.
We've only got 4 MPs. So inevitably, and we've got one leader, and inevitably the concentration is going to be on him. But I know, because I've worked with him, I worked with him in Brussels, for heaven's sake. I know that he is not a dictator, as he's very often said to be. He's not an autocrat.
Why does he fall out for all those people then?
Well, hang on. How many people did Liz Truss, did Boris Johnson, did Jeremy Corbyn? How many did they fall out with? Politics is that sort of environment in which you work. And the fact is, we do not want to go down the Robinson route. We do believe in stricter control of immigration, but we're not lunatics. And
that's what Rupert Lowe is when it comes to immigration.
I've already said I'm not touching on any merits.
No, his views on
until
immigration, I'm saying.
So as far as I'm concerned, maybe this is about the direction of reform, but it's going the right way.
Farage recognises, in order to advance, reform has to accept people who wouldn't be just on that migration or Brexit issue. And if you go down the route of backing Stephen Yaxley-led and the convicted thug Tommy Robinson, you might get that little segment of Britain, but you lose a wider segment.
Yeah. OK, let's find out what people are saying at home. John has got in touch from Belfast. John, good morning. Do you think that this whole infighting in Reform UK is damaging Nigel Farage?
Good morning, panel. Yes, I do believe that, but I think part of it is because Nigel hasn't got that complete leadership style which needs to be adaptable and be able to control all elements of the party. What you've got to remember about reform is, by definition, it's going to be a collection of wide spectrum. On the one hand, you'll have those who think, let's put all immigrants on a boat, send them back, and that will solve the problems of Britain. And then you've got the others who are halfway in their ideology, which I agree with, which is put Britain first. I'll be the first person to agree with that. So you've got a much wider spectrum of audience compared to the other parties, where it wouldn't be quite so widespread. Now, to be able to manage such a range of people, you need certain skills and abilities. Nigel is a very skilled orator. There's no doubt he's very charismatic. But underneath, you need quite a few other elements of leadership and management style.
Okay.
And I'm not sure that there is anybody in Reform at this stage.
Okay.
But I realise they're an early party, but
okay.
They will always have a wide fragment.
Okay, John, thank you for that. I'm only moving on, just to squeeze in a few more calls. But John, thank you for kicking us off. Wayne's in Cheshire. Wayne, good morning. Do you think Nigel Farage is being damaged by this infighting in Reform?
I think, good morning, everyone. I think short term, he is going to be damaged, but I think Reform need to reform. This is a perfect opportunity to get rid of the insane, the extremists which are at the top of the party.
Who are you talking about?
It's some of the policies, to be honest with you, and some of the people which are in Parliament. They're too extreme to do.
People like Rupert Lowe?
Well, it's just basically people look at Reform. So I'm I was a member of the Labour Party. I'm considering voting reform because I like the policy to do with immigration, etc. But as a government, they still need to get rid of the extremist elements because some of the things are just cruel to people. I don't think immigration. I agree with the immigration side, but the other things to do with NHS, to do with just the general thing. They need to get rid, if they want to be in government, of some of the extreme elements.
OK. Wayne, thank you. Thank you for that. Let's move on to Karen in Glasgow. Karen, I believe you're a Reform member.
Yes, I am, and not for much longer.
Not for much longer. Oh, Anne, that was very short-lived.
Oh dear, that was very short-lived.
Your clapping of Karen. Go on, Karen. What are your concerns?
Well, I'll just say, I mean, I usually would support everything Anne says, but in this case, not, because I'm very much behind Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib, and I think the only thing that would get me to support reform again would be for Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib to be back there as, members, and, I just think what's happened is dreadful, and I think it's damaged Nigel Farage's reputation.
Why do you think it's damaged his reputation? Specifically, why do you think?
No, well, I've seen things that he said on social media, and I follow GB News and other news on social media. It's easier. It's easier for me, to kind of follow the news that way. And just, I think he spoke about Nigel Farage spoke about various people, including Rupert Lowe, in quite a derogatory way, and I just think that's unacceptable.
You want to see Rupert Lowe in power, and I guess is there your opportunity to speak to Karen?
Well, all I would say to you, Karen, is there is an investigation underway. There is no point in having an investigation if you're not going to wait for it to investigate. So maybe you would delay your decision until the investigation has reported. That is my line at the moment. I'm not commenting on the merits until that investigation has reported.
That's a politician's answer.
No, it is not.
Yeah.
That is a perfectly fair and rational answer. And instead of joining on the bandwagon and getting all melodramatic about everything, I am prepared to wait for the investigation to report.
Is Karen getting melodramatic? Because she can see what's played out in public and she's taken the decision. She's gone with one side against the other.
I'm just suggesting she waits until the investigation is over.
It is one of the issues that, Kevin, the timing, that for a lot of people, they've said, OK, as you said, a lot of political parties have disagreements, power struggles within them. But it felt like someone spoke out and immediately investigation started, accusations of unacceptable behaviour within Rupert Lowe's
But the investigator is an independent KC.
No.
Yeah, but you're right.
But is
right.
it about the timing?
It looked murky all round, didn't it? And look, all parties are big coalitions, and they have competing rivalries, personalities, massive egos, and you get falling down. Here, you get Rupert Lowe making a point. He thinks that Farage is too messianic. And then all of a sudden, Reform say, well, there's bullying problems in his office, which he denies.
And also his office denies as well.
Yeah, and he's been making violent threats, which he denies, and we're reporting him to the police. Yeah. I mean, come on, the two were connected. It was almost as if the leadership willingly or inadvertently decided we're going to bring this to a head, and it went whoosh. And what was a reasonable row became a massive row.
And perhaps that's what some people like Karen don't like.
Or
Karen, thank you for your call. Let's speak to Alice, who's in Manchester. Alice, good morning. Do you think Nigel Farage is being damaged? Is his reputation being damaged with what's going on in Reform UK?
I don't think so, no. I really do think that, if anything, I totally agree. By the way, Anne Widdecombe is my most favourite panellist, and I agree, as usual, with everything she says. She's absolutely right. If it wasn't for Farage, where would Reform be? Richard Tice, lovely man, believes in what he's doing. He's put a lot of his own money into it, but he does not have that certain he doesn't have the oratory skills that Nigel Farage has. It's because of Nigel that reform is where it is. And the reason why I think Rupert Lowe is not happy is because, well, as far as I'm concerned, Rupert Lowe and Elon Musk supporting Tommy Robinson is the worst possible thing. I, by the way, originate from India. And, all my family, my God, what are you talking about? You're going to vote for reform? Are you mad? I do believe in what they say, and I do believe that Nigel Farage is right.
Okay.
He does not want to have anything to do with anyone who supports that Stephen Yaxley Lennon person.
Right. We've mentioned that, Alice. Thank you. I only want to move on just because I want to squeeze in Martin as well from Shropshire. Thank you, Alice. Martin, good morning. You were thinking about voting for reform. What's happened?
Yeah, good morning, panel. Well, firstly, I never really disagree with Anne. I think she's a real stalwart. But I've been a Conservative voter for 50 years, and I was considering reform next time round. But I think we have to accept, I think what's reported in the media that's got this going is the fact that Nigel is backtracking on immigration. Mm-hmm. And he's more or less accepting the status quo that we can't do much about.
No, he's not.
Of legal and immigration. That's what's...
So Martin, are you saying that you agreed more with Rupert Lowe's point of view?
Well, not more so, but I think Nigel is the auditor in the campaign, and I think he's probably still the best man, but it's just a pity that they can't bring this to a head internally rather than going public with it.
OK.
Martin, we are absolutely not backtracking on immigration. I am the immigration spokesman. We are not backtracking.
OK, you've heard it from the immigration spokesman. Just quickly before we move on to our next topic, Rupert Lowe has been asking for Nigel Farage to get together, sort this out over dinner. Do you think Nigel should do that? Just sort it out.
They have met.
OK. All right.
I didn't say.
How did it go?
I think that's a newsline.
How did it go?
No, we're not going to get an answer of how it went
until the investigation has reported.
I'm remembering Sue Gray. Do you remember when no one would ask her a question until someone said Sue Gray?